What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Very Cold Lasagna, the podcast that has the safe and open listening platform for casual, cold, the dumbest takes, and honestly, any kind of take on the world of WWE, AEW, the NFL, and the wide world of pro wrestling and sports in general. I'm your host, DylanLasagna. Welcome to today's episode number 40, number 40 of this chilling, freezing cold podcast. So it's time to once again open up that fridge and grab that very cold lasagna, because today we got another good show for you all, because we're going to be talking about All Elite Wrestling's big pay-per-view coming on this Sunday, or at least it should feel like a big pay-per-view, right? It should honestly feel like a big pay-per-view. But anyway, I digress. AEW is going all out this Sunday night, September 5th, 2021, live in Chicago, Illinois, at the Now Arena. For a lot of hardcore wrestling fans, or any wrestling fan in general, but mostly the hardcore fans, this feels like their WrestleMania. This feels like their WrestleMania of sorts, or their SummerSlam of AEW. But in all honesty, I'm going to say it right here and now, this just feels like a regular episode of Dynamite, or AEW Dark, or their new Rampage show. Because once we get into the card, you'll quickly notice how this All Out pay-per-view, it doesn't live up to the name. It doesn't really live up to the name All Out. So, we're going to talk about this pay-per-view that should, for some people, I guess, feel like a big pay-per-view, a big event. But in reality, it doesn't. It honestly doesn't. And I'm not trying to be like pro WWE or anti AEW. I'm just being honest. I'm just giving my personal opinion on how I feel going into this pay-per-view event on Sunday. But anyway, we're going to be talking about this in this AEW All Out preview edition of Very Cold Lasagna. But before we do, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on that notification bell for each and every podcast that goes up live on the channel, as well as those exclusive videos that you only get to see on the Very Cold Lasagna YouTube channel. And of course, if you want to listen to me on the road while you're driving, taking a crap, whatnot, make sure to listen to me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor FM, and follow the show on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. Let's get into the main thing we're going to be talking about today, and that is All Elite Wrestling's pay-per-view, All Out. Now, I gotta be honest with you, I don't really know what to consider this pay-per-view. Is it AEW's WrestleMania? Is it their SummerSlam? Is it the Royal Rumble? Like, what is it? Maybe it's neither of those. But in all honesty, this should feel like a big event, like I said before, but it doesn't. This does not feel like a big, spectacular event that could bring in new fans. This just feels like, an average episode of Dynamite, a regular show per se. So, like I said at the top of the show, this is going to be taking place in Chicago, Illinois, at the Now Arena, in the Chicago suburb of Hoffman States, wherever that is. So this is going to be the first AEW pay-per-view since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic that's going to be outside of Daly's place. So, I mean, good. That's honestly good. It's a change of pace. And the biggest factoid of all, which is why I'm even talking about All Out, is that CM Punk, yes, that's right, CM Punk, the guy that's been very outspoken, both in, on TV and off TV when it comes to pro wrestling. He is coming back to wrestle. He is going to be wrestling for the first time since 2014 when he was in the Royal Rumble match, the WWE Royal Rumble pay-per-view. It's his first wrestling match in over 7 years. So all eyes will literally be on CM Punk in his first wrestling match since 2014. That is insane. So, we have about 9 or 10 matches on this. Actually, I don't know. I'd say 10 matches on this card. There was one match that was supposed to take place on the All Out main card, and that was Andrade El Idolo versus Pac. This was originally supposed to happen, but Pac was having travel issues, and Tony Khan addressed this on the Go Home show of Dynamite to the Chicago crowd, and he said that this match was postponed to a future episode of Rampage because Pac was unable to travel to Chicago. So, I gotta be honest, even then, like, whether the match was happening or not, who cared? Who was gonna care besides, oh, they were gonna tear the house down with such a great match between two great technical wrestlers. But what was the story? Who would care? I mean, was anyone honestly gonna be invested in Andrade? I mean, Pac is decent, but not a guy that's gonna like break millions of records. And more importantly, Andrade debuted back in June, was it? And what has he done since then? What has Andrade done since then? He's only wrestled one match. And I haven't seen him cut a promo or even have a vignette or anything. Has Andrade done anything since debuting for AEW back in June? But he's supposed to be the game changer for AEW. Really? Anyway, Andrade teased on Twitter that he could be facing someone else at the event, but that's not confirmed yet. So, either way, I don't care. But then watch it be Daniel Bryan or some shit. Yeah, Andrade could probably have his ass whooped by Mr. Bryan Danielson or whatnot. Yeah, that'll get all the hardcore fans jacking off. So anyway, in replacement of the Andrade Pac match, we get another match on the buy-in, which has Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, Wheeler Yuta, and Jurassic Express. Shame that the Luchasaurus is going to be on the freaking pre-show. Going up against Matt Hardy, Private Party, and TH2, whoever they are. So pretty much it's going to be this 10-man tag team match for the pre-show to get everyone warmed up that's, you know, still trying to settle in. You know, it's pretty much designed to be like the appetizer spot orgy for the fans in attendance. So I don't care who wins. It's just, you know, for shits and giggles. So then we have the 21-woman Casino Battle Royale for a future AEW Women's title match against Britt Baker. This was moved to the main card because, you know, the fact that I keep mentioning Pac and Andrade match being canceled. So your following participants are Nyla Rose, Thunder Rosa, The Bunny, Big Swole, Tay Conti, Julia Hart, Diamante, Penelope Ford, Red Velvet, Hikaru Shida, Emi Sakura, Jade Cargill, Kiera Hogan, Abandon, Layla Hirsch, Kylan King, Rebel, Jamin Hader, Anna Jay, Riho, and one more name to be determined, but as I'll get into just shortly, I think I have an idea who it's going to be. So, I don't know. I personally don't have a vented interest in this match, but I can tell you that this AEW Women's Division seriously needs, like, to be built up. Like, I don't know what the elite EVPs are waiting for. Like, dude, like, I don't know why they don't give a shit about, like, that, about so many women that, like, actually have the it factor both in the ring and, you know, and the appeal, you know, the look, the appearance. Like, look at the women like Tay Conti, Thunder Rosa, Hikaru Shida, even though her Brock Lesnar like reign was, pretty bad, even worse than Brock Lesnar's own 2-year-long Universal title reign. And who else was there? I was going to mention Jade Cargill. She's actually getting a little better, but from what I've seen, but she's still a work in progress. But that being said, regardless, none of the names that I mentioned in the participant list is going to win this match. A certain WWE release that just finished her 90-day no-compete clause is going to win. That name is Ruby Riott, now known as Ruby Soho, which is a weird name, but whatever. So she's going to be the so-called Joker entrant in this match, and she's going to win. So there you go. Ruby Soho is going to be the winner of the Casino Battle Royale and face Britt Baker for the Women's Championship in the future, whenever that is. So then, next up, you get Jon Moxley going up against Satoshi Kojima. Jon Moxley pretty much issued an open challenge for All Out to anyone in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that was answered by this dude named Satoshi Kojima. This is pretty much an exhibition match between the two, and I don't know. This is pretty much I don't give a shit. Normal casual fans don't give a shit, but yet hardcore fans will still overhype this thing because it's New Japan. It's, the forbidden door, guys, between AEW and New Japan. So expect Moxley to win a useless exhibition match that, I don't know, honestly doesn't really help New Japan Pro Wrestling in the slightest with exposure in the United States. So then we get QT Marshall going up against, it's the Big Show in his AEW debut. QT Marshall and the Factory were ganging up on Tony Schiavone and his son on Dynamite a couple weeks ago. It was like the Dynamite for the Rampage debut episode, and that led to coming out to stand up for his broadcast partner, where they do Dark Elevation, and Big Show would overpower the Factory and QT Marshall. But then recently on Dynamite this past week, Big Show got his own dose of reality with a heel turn by Billy Gunn and his sons. So yeah, that was a thing that happened. There's one thing that at least both casual fans and hardcore wrestling fans can at least universally agree upon, they can mutually agree with, is that not everyone is excited for this match. Like, no one is excited for this one bit. I mean, I like the Big Show. He's cool, but why is he facing a jobber like QT Marshall? Like, this dude was proverbially buried. He got the proverbial shovel by Cody Rhodes like months ago, and Big Show should be facing like other people that are better than QT Marshall in AEW. And I don't know. I thought this was gonna be on the buy-in or some shit, because I don't think this match should be like more than 5 minutes. It still shouldn't be more than 5 minutes on the main card, because it's likely going to still be on the main card, and if it is, it'll probably be sandwiched in between those main event matches, because you gotta cool down the crowd somehow. So Big Show's probably gonna like squash the ever living shit out of QT Marshall, and that's pretty much be the end of that. So then we get the TNT champion Miro, formerly known as Rusev, going up against Eddie Kingston. So pretty much the so-called backstory, because literally a lot of these matches don't have a lot of backstory. I forgot to point that out. A lot of these matches do not have backstory. Miro called out Eddie Kingston on Dynamite a few weeks ago. Eddie Kingston responded by saving a jobber named Fuego del Sol, and he brawled with Miro. And that led to this match being announced for the pay-per-view. So I will say this about Miro. He's getting a lot better. Like, ever since he left Kip Sabian, dumped that stupid best man thing, turned into the Redeemer. And he's like honestly one of the only wrestlers in AEW to actually, put time into developing a character, getting better at promos, and actually having backstage vignettes and whatnot. The dude is getting a lot better. Like as a actual like marketable pro wrestler. I mean, it's not there yet, but he's getting there. He's getting a lot better. So he's kind of like this ruthless Bulgarian mobster that seems to redeem his bad acts, hence why he calls himself the Redeemer. But he does so with that ruthless aggression, pal. So that being said, no reason for Miro to lose in an upset to Eddie Kingston on Sunday, because Eddie Kingston, honestly, he's a jobber. Like, he's a jobber that cuts okay promos, but Miro doesn't need to lose on Sunday. He's doing fine. So then we get into the big main event matches. Finally. After we got into like a bunch of nothing matches. We start off with the AEW Tag Team Championship match between the Cucks of Suck going up against the Lucha Bros in a steel cage match. And I gotta be honest with you. I bash AEW a lot, but their steel cage is pretty damn impressive. It's like tall as hell and makes it looks like super imposing. It's like oh shit, I'm actually pretty scared of this steel cage. It's like very tall for a steel cage. So it is what it is. So anyway, so a tag team eliminator tournament happened over the course of the few weeks, starting on August 18th, to determine the Cucks of Sucks opponents for All Out in said steel cage match. So the final participants came down to the Lucha Bros and Jurassic Express. And they met in the final on Rampage, which was won by Penta El Zero Miedo and Rey Fenix. So they're having a rematch with the Cucks of Suck at All Out, which 2 years ago, the Lucha Bros beat the Cucks of Suck in a ladder match for the AAA tag team titles, whatever those titles were. So this match is pretty much designed in the most typical Cucks of Suck way possible. As many spots as possible, who can outdo each other in the biggest spot orgy of the night. And all the hardcore fans, gonna make the claim to fame as this match could be one of the best tag team matches of all time. Yeah, that's pretty much how it's gonna be. So I personally have no rooting interest in either team, but expect the Cucks of Suck to retain their titles because that's how they do it. I mean, it would have been nice to have freaking Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy actually be in this spot and actually dethrone the stupid ass Cucks of Suck. But no, we just gotta have another rematch between Penta, Ray, Matt and Nick Jackson again for the first time in like 2 years again. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Like, are you trying to make it so that no one can ever dethrone the Cucks of Suck? Are the Cucks of Suck gonna have this forever reign as tag team champions? Are you trying to torment all the normal wrestling fans out there? Oh boy. So then that's your tag team match. That's your tag team title match. We get into the women's championship match, and that involves the champion, Dr. Britt Baker DMD, going up against the Galaxy's Greatest Alien, Kris Statlander. Since her return, Kris Statlander has gone 12-0. And well, at the time of this recording, she actually won on AEW Dark. But again, who watches AEW Dark? So technically, she's 13-0 since her return, and she as we speak is the top ranked contender to Britt Baker's AEW's women's title. So meanwhile, Britt Baker had successfully defended her title against Nyla Rose and Red Velvet as a reward for her gradual growth throughout the last year. She made the big announcement on Wednesday that the hottest free agent signing was herself. Well, what a troll move. It's not Adam Cole, gay. It's herself. And she signed a long-term contract extension. So, there you go. I mean, not related to the match we're talking about, but just a little bit of news there. So, the two previously had a feud in 2020, but that was ultimately cut short. It was scrapped because Kris Statlander suffered an ACL injury. I think it was around the summertime when they were feuding. So that was when Kris Statlander also suffered the ACL injury that put her out of action for nearly a year. So what are my thoughts on this impending matchup? I like both women. I think they're they're both kawaii, as the Smart Busters would say it. They're both cute. And they're also both good in the ring too. I mean, let's not get away from ourselves here. But I think the biggest problem with both women right now is just that there's just not a lot of competition, and I think they're getting close to being stale. And I look at Kris Statlander, and I see like her alien gimmick. It's just lacking depth. Like, why does she call herself the galaxy's greatest alien? Like, especially with the fact that she doesn't get kayfabe with the gimmick on social media. I mean, I get it. So, like, social media pretty much killed all kayfabe. I mean, but then look at other wrestlers like Baron Corbin and MJF. They're keeping kayfabe on social media. But Statlander supposedly an alien, like, from outer space, like in theory, like gimmick wise, but she's not, like, maintaining it. So I don't know. I just think it's lacking depth. Like I would want to see like a promo vignette, because it's been like almost 2 years since Statlander's been in AEW, and she's introduced this gimmick thing, this alien gimmick, to like a prime time cable audience, but there's not been one I gotta be honest, I haven't seen one single like vignette or promo package of what exactly is Kris Statlander about. Like, what is her gimmick all about? I would like to know something, because right now, as it stands, she hasn't been that interesting to watch, like, unlike in the past. I think she could still be something, but I don't know. Something's not clicking. Speaking of not clicking, something feels missing with Britt Baker at the moment. Like, she's still very popular among the hardcore wrestling fans, but I feel like they're still missing, so she can like rise within the popularity of the normal mainstream fan base. Like, she has the look, she has the appeal. She's gotten a lot better. I've given all the praise I can about Britt Baker, but just like with Hikaru Shida, like, she's been mainly been relegated to backstage interviews, and she's only had 2 title defenses ever since winning the title at Double or Nothing. I mean, I don't blame her for this, but at some point, as talented as she is, it's gonna get stale real quick. If there's barely any competition for her to face, so these elite execs, Mr. Omega, Mr. Cucks of Sucks, Mr. Cody Rhodes, like, can you please build a proper women's division? And I know I'm kind of derailing from like the match, but this is just where we stand. This is where we stand with the match, both the match and the women's division. Like, there's not really much of a story to tell. I mean, again, these two feuded with one another, but it was quickly scrapped because Statlander having the ACL injury. I mean, like, I'm not sure what story there is to tell other than, the 2 heated rivals, and that's it. But I honestly don't know. Like there's not much competition for either one of these women. So while Statlander is on the roll, Britt Baker is also carrying momentum, and she's gonna need more of that. It's still too early for her to drop the title, because she's just that red hot. Even more so red hot than Kris Statlander. I'm sorry to say it. So expect her to walk out of All Out still your AEW's Women's World Champion. So we get into the final 2 matches here. The AEW World Championship match between Kenny Omega and your TNA. Oh, sorry, not TNA anymore. Your Impact Wrestling World Champion, Christian Cage. Does anyone still really watch Impact? Like, I swear to God. Anyway, a month before he made the jump to AEW, Christian returned to wrestling for the first time in 7 years at the 2021 Royal Rumble back in January. So, obviously, a month later, Christian obviously didn't renew his contract with WWE. He didn't sign anything new. So he made the jump to AEW at Revolution a month later. And on the next episode of Dynamite, he cut a promo and he made the claim to outwork everyone and win titles. And that's why he was in AEW. And that's why he wanted to come back to wrestling. So on that same episode of Dynamite, he was confronted by the AEW champion, Kenny Omega, and that teased to a future title match. And I'm not sure what exactly I said at the time, but it's like, I think it was somewhere along the lines of, I did not want to see Omega versus Christian, like, for the title. And, well, here we are now. So over the next couple of months, Christian would go undefeated in his matches until he became the top-ranked contender to Kenny Omega's title, wherein which a match was scheduled for this pay-per-view. And I guess to build some heat on both men, Christian would beat him for the Impact World Championship on the debut episode of AEW Rampage. So, I gotta be honest, I like Christian. He's a good wrestler. He's a kind of good promo guy. But it's just kind of sad to see that for all the talent he has, he's got to face a spot monkey chode like Kenny Omega in a second-rate world title match at a major pay-per-view. I'm sorry to say it. I'm sorry I pissed off all the hardcore wrestling fans that want to see a dream match between Christian Cage and Kenny Omega. But Dylan, Kenny Omega is no chode. He's put on all these great matches with Jungle Boy, Rich Swann, Pac, Orange Cassidy, and Rey Fenix all during his title reign. Oh, while cutting these so great promos, he's our cleaner. Oh yeah, he's the cleaner. He's the vacuum cleaner of cleaning out charisma and character in pro wrestling. Two things he still refuses to show and act on. Like, what is the appeal of Kenny Omega? Seriously. Like, I just don't understand. Like, this match, this world title match that Kenny Omega's having, it would have been so perfect for, like, no disrespect to Christian, because I like him, but I thought they were really going in the direction of Hangman Adam Page. And I understand. He's on paternity leave, you know. Him and his wife are having their, I think it's their first child, whatnot. But still, it would have been nice to see Hangman Adam Page beat Kenny Omega, because it would have been 2 years since Hangman Adam Page lost to Chris Jericho in the first ever AEW World Title match, and look where he's gone. Look, like, they could have like built a story on Adam Page's journey back to All Out in the same place that he lost the inaugural world title match, and having him beat Kenny Omega to win the world title in the same place that he could have won it 2 years ago. That at least would have been a story. Where's the story in this match? Like, there is none, to be honest with you. Like, this is just like all of Kenny Omega's previous title matches, especially the one at Double or Nothing. That literally was just nothing at all. Like, it's just sad that this had to be with Adam Page. But it is what it is. So for all the criticism and hate I have towards Kenny Omega, at least Christian is a viable opponent for Kenny. He at least makes him slow the fuck down and be less of a spot jerk off. I watched highlights of the Rampage match. It was all right. So at least Kenny Omega like kept it under control with Christian, and you could tell Christian was like knocking the fuck off with with all the spots and whatnot. But we'll see if that lightning strikes twice at All Out, and I'm not sure if it will, but you know, Kenny Omega, he'll try to do his usual indie stupidity. He'll probably retain the AEW title over Christian. So, man, I really wanted to see Hangman Adam Page, you know, have his story completed at All Out in the same place that he could have won the world title 2 years ago. But sadly, I know life gets in the way, but we're getting this match instead. So we also have another match on hand. MJF going up against Chris Jericho, and I know people are kind of like indifferent, mixed, negative, or whatnot on this match, and I kind of feel the same way. About this match. So to get you catched up on why this match is happening, because honestly, this is like one of the very few matches I find interested, aside from the Women's Championship match. MJF wanted to join Chris Jericho's Inner Circle stable, which was heel at the time. But this was in spite of the rest of the group. Sammy Guevara, Jake Hager, Santana, and Ortiz. They were like, no, we do not want MJF in this group. So Chris Jericho entertained it for a couple weeks. They even engaged in a song and dance dinner and a town hall meeting, and that led up to their first match at Full Gear in 2020, last year, that MJF won. So per the stipulation, MJF and his bodyguard Wardlow were able to join the Inner Circle. So they were initially at peace. They were initially unified because MJF was able to buy his way to that status with a trip to Las Vegas for Chris Jericho's birthday. But unfortunately, that solidarity rose to tension 2 months later because Sammy Guevara suspected MJF of trying to break up the group. That led to Sammy leaving the group temporarily. So after MJF and Jericho lost a tag team title match to the Cucks of Suck at Revolution back in February, Jericho organized a Inner Circle War Council meeting to try to promote changes within the group. And these changes included a member of the Inner Circle potentially getting kicked. But before anything could happen, Sammy Guevara presented video evidence of MJF trying to break up the group within, trying to get Chris Jericho kicked from the group. And that led to MJF getting fired from the Inner Circle. And just before MJF was going to get his ass handed, MJF revealed his own stable in the form of Wardlow, Shawn Spears, FTR, Tully Blanchard, aka The Pinnacle. So these two groups would trade victories back and forth in the Blood and Guts match back in May and the Stadium Stampede at Double or Nothing. Apparently, the other members of the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle are still feuding with each other. I'm not sure, but I digress. So despite the Stadium Stampede victory by the Inner Circle, Jericho still wanted his revenge on MJF one-on-one. No Inner Circle, no Pinnacle, just Jericho and MJF. So MJF agreed to this, but on one condition, that Jericho would face 4 other guys of his choice in matches of his decisions. So, titled The Labors of Jericho, Jericho would win all the 4 labors, but then once he got to MJF a couple weeks ago in Dynamite, MJF tapped Jericho out to his finisher, the Salt of the Wound. So, Jericho was unsatisfied. We thought the feud was done and over with. We were asking what was next, but Jericho was unsatisfied. Jericho wanted one more match at All Out, a final match, the final chapter of sorts, and if he lost, he would retire from in-ring competition in AEW. So that's where we are, where we stand in this feud between MJF and Chris Jericho. And I gotta say, this has been the longest storyline AEW has produced to date. It's been going on for almost a year. 11 months to be exact. And I thought, I don't know, I thought this should have ended at Double or Nothing because, the Inner Circle got their revenge on MJF for turning on them. But it's also Sammy Guevara was the one that got the victory over Shawn Spears and not Chris Jericho getting his revenge on MJF by pinning him. So I don't know. I guess they have a reason to keep the feud going, but at the same time, it just, I don't know. It hasn't clicked. It hasn't clicked the same since then. It just feels like a normal feud, to be honest with you. There's not much intensity per se between MJF and Jericho. There's like there's like something that making me come back to, oh, I want to watch this this, like, how this is gonna end. So I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, these two guys are like are really good. Jericho, obviously a veteran, a legend in the wrestling industry. MJF, up and coming star. I know some people like call him the dollar store version of the Miz, the Jizz. But he honestly, like, MJF is actually a lot better than the Miz, the Jizz. So MJF has had the upper hand over Chris Jericho. He's 2-0 over him. And I think Jericho is likely going to get his first win over MJF. And that's what probably ends this feud. Like, I'm just kind of like curious why this has the stipulation, like, and why it's just a regular match when it could have been an I Quit match. It could have been an I Quit match, and then you have the stipulation. But I don't know what they're doing with it. But then you also wonder if they could book it to have MJF actually beat Chris Jericho and then quote unquote retire Jericho, relegate him to commentary on Rampage, and then also, you know, Jericho is taking time off to not only have the cruise, his Jericho cruise, like I think it's like next month or something, but also he's on tour with Fozzy at some point this month. So it's like a good way to write him off TV by, like, you know, having MJF beat him. But either way, it'll be interesting to see what they do. To see like what hat trick AEW puts to put who over. I don't think it would hurt MJF if he lost to Chris Jericho, because he's already beaten him 2 times. So Jericho getting his wins back, like his win back over MJF, it wouldn't be so bad. And obviously Jericho's taking a loss at this point. It doesn't hurt him either. So whoever wins, like, it'll be interesting. But at this point, like, this feud, like, has to have an end game at some point. So then we get to what I think will be the main event of this show, and that is CM Punk versus Darby Allin. Like I mentioned before, this will be CM Punk's first wrestling match in over 7 years. CM Punk made his big return to pro wrestling 7 years away from the entertainment form, and he immediately challenged Darby Allin to a match at All Out. And why is he challenging Darby Allin? Well, Darby Allin wanted to face the best wrestler in the world. Like, he that tease was obviously a nod to CM Punk. And, well, Darby Allin got his wish when Rampage was in Chicago. So that match was made official immediately after CM Punk returned. So over the next 2 weeks, CM Punk and Darby Allin discussed how both men respected each other, and only one of them was going to win on Sunday. CM Punk also got physical for the first time in 7 years in the wrestling ring. He hit a GTS on some jobber while he was getting saved by a 3-on-1 attack. He was being saved by Sting and Darby Allin, so he had to go to sleep on some jobber. And it was funny, like, that there was a Bleacher Report post that posted the video of CM Punk doing that, and the normal wrestling fans were just roasting the shit out of it in the comments. It was like so funny. But anyway, when it comes to this match, I mean, I don't know. I gotta be honest with you. Like, I like CM Punk. Don't get me wrong. He can cut some fine promos. He got some pretty good promos. But goddamn, does he come up as an asshole in real life? He really does. It just like, anytime he talks, it just makes it feel like he's just one of the boys in the Indies again. He's talking about how he wants to have great matches. He wants to put people over. Like, pretty much a wrestler that doesn't give a shit about story or character. He just wants to put on great matches, pal. And all he talks about is wanting to prove he can still go, and that's fine. But you gotta have some character, dude. You gotta have a personality. But oh wait, if we don't like it, we could shut the fuck up and go fuck ourselves. That's the message CM Punk is pretty much trying to tell us normal wrestling fans. If we don't like it, if we don't like what CM Punk or anything that AEW is doing with their spot orgies or their characterless, charisma-less product, we can go fuck ourselves. We can shut the fuck up. Yeah, that's the message AEW is trying to send to us fans trying to get invested in this product. Great message. Honestly, great message that CM Punk and AEW is trying to send. That is what you call gatekeeping 101. It's very baffling how the most hardcore fans embrace CM Punk as both a wrestler and a person. Great. So anyway, CM Punk's first 3 weeks back, it just feels like it's screaming who he is as a person. And self-entitled dick that just tries to care about pro wrestling. True pro wrestling, when it's honestly the same thing between wrestling and sports entertainment. Oh no, but it's pro wrestling. AEW's pro wrestling, not sports entertainment. They're both the same guys, really. When in reality, he's there for the money. Maybe he really wants to come back, but honestly, I'm not seeing it quite yet because the hype has kind of died down. So regardless of everything I just said, I'm very curious. I'm very curious to see how CM Punk does in his first match. After being 7 years away from a pro wrestling ring. It'll be interesting to see how he moves, to see how he works, all that. Can he actually sell a wrestling move? That remains to be seen. Like, how will he perform each and every move? Because literally all eyes, whether you're a casual fan or a core fan or a hardcore fan, like literally, you got interviews from ESPN, Bleacher Report, and whatnot. So pretty much, like any spectrum of the fan base you're on, you know that you're going to be watching this match. Like, all eyes are going to be on CM Punk and how he does. And however he does, it's going to dictate, like, if he backed up the hype or that's exactly what it is. All hype, no action. So, Darby Allin's going to be a big test for CM Punk because Darby Allin's literally like a crash test dummy. But he can actually, like, go at it with another wrestler. But it'll be interesting to see how it goes. So, I think CM Punk will win because you're really going to have someone lose their first match in 7 years. So, CM Punk will win. But what I'm really interested in is whether or not he can back up every single word of still having the wrestling ability that he claims he possesses. Because if he doesn't, the flame will die out for both him, the hardcore wrestling fans, and AEW themselves that, clamored for his return. And it'll all vanish if he doesn't live up to his ridiculously high expectations. So, again, I think this will be the main event because I'm a nice guy. And CM Punk will end All Out as the winner of this match, standing in front of his Chicago fan base. So, overall, All Out has this Mania-type feel for the hardcore wrestling fans at least, but for a normal wrestling fan or even a middle-of-the-road casual core fan, this just feels like a regular episode of Dynamite or an indie show that's probably going to be like 5 hours long. It really does. It's like, how are you going to fit like 10 matches? I mean, 9 if you don't count the buy-in. 9 matches on a main show without making them drag too long. Especially the main events. CM Punk versus Darby Allin, Dr. Britt Baker versus Kris Statlander, the Cucks of Suck going up against the Lucha Bros, Kenny Omega versus Christian, and I think, Jericho versus MJF. How are you going to fit all of those 5 matches? How are you going to make them evenly paced without either making them go too short or drag on too long? How's that going to work? Like, you got to make them work somehow. Maybe they, insert, one of the filler matches in between them? I don't know. I don't know it's gonna work. Like half of the card is literally big matches, and if not properly paced, it can fall right on AEW's face. So, again, the only matches I'm personally interested are MJF versus Chris Jericho, the AEW Women's Title match, and CM Punk versus Darby Allin. But God, does this pay-per-view reek a WWE kind of formula, quantity over quality? But I don't know. I'm just personally like not interested in a lot of this, what AEW has to offer at the moment. But I will say, I keep repeating this. All eyes will be on CM Punk this Sunday. I'm really interested to see that. So that is it for your preview of All Out 2021 in Chicago, and we will see how CM Punk fares in his first match back live this Sunday on pay-per-view. So that is it for me on Very Cold Lasagna. I am your host, DylanLasagna. What do you guys think will happen at All Elite Wrestling's All Out pay-per-view this Sunday, September 5th? How do you think CM Punk will do in his first match back in 7 years? What do you think about the other matches that are going to happen? Let me know, whether it's on the YouTube comments, a message on Twitter or Instagram, a comment, whatnot. Let me know your opinions, your takes on this subject matter, however you can. But that is it for me on Very Cold Lasagna. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on the notification bell, listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor FM, and follow the show on social media on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. And as always, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of pro wrestling and sports in general. And we will see what happens in Chicago on Sunday. But anyway, that's it for me. Until next time, peace out.